Okay, boys, we are getting ready to go way up back in the mountains, up, down, over and under. We're gonna follow Greg. We did a house place up here. It's probably been over a year ago at this point, and they're wanting their silt fence cut out, or pulled out, ripped out. Evidently they don't like the way that it looks, so we're gonna go on out and over the hill and see if we can figure out what or how we're gonna get this silt fence out. It's way down a bank, so I don't know how far a machine's gonna be able to reach or any of that, but we'll get it figured out. Y'all stay tuned and watch us as we go back in here. Alright, so whenever we get to right here, Greg's stopping. There's a little place in here that's washed out in the road. The whole road actually has to be redone. They're gonna pave it and all that good stuff. So this was just a pig trail whenever they started up here, but he smooths it out, packs it real good with the tracks by tracking over it, and then off to the races. So whenever we get up to the top of this hill here in just a second, I stop, and the reason being is it's really steep and I've got a trailer behind me, so I'm waiting on Greg to get on down the hill. That way we don't have to stop or go real slow in the truck. It doesn't work out too well, and here we are. So right here, Greg is going through and he's pulling up the silt fence because we can actually reach with the machine. So we pull it all up just a piece at a time. He's trying his best to keep it wadded up and keep the sticks going with it. This stuff just falls apart. It's been here for so long. The posts are kind of rotten and this, that, and the other. So you'll see me back there. I'm pulling up the sticks where he couldn't reach with the machine. All broke loose. So that's what we're doing. And notice he went through, and then as he's backing up right here, he's dressing up the ground that he messed up. So it was pretty wet. It's been raining and all kinds of stuff before this, and so the machine and the weight of it just kind of messed up the ground. So he's going back through, dressing it up, making it look nice and smooth and pretty, and that's basically how this entire job goes. So right there, I actually stopped to talk to Greg. I told him I was going to go start on some of the stuff that he couldn't reach with a machine and see if I could get it broken loose. That way we can pull at least a portion of it up the hill so he can grab it with a track hoe, and then we can pull the rest of it out with a machine. Because who wants to do manual labor if you don't have to? Unfortunately, there ended up being quite a bit of manual labor, but we got it taken care of, and you guys will get to see that here in just a second. One of the coolest parts about this job, or coolest features I guess, is that we actually have the dump trailer here. And so it has an electronic over hydraulic pump, so you mash a button and it dumps basically. So once we get all this stuff in there, we take it to the landfill and dump it, and it's super handy because you don't have to get all that stuff out by hand, and of course there's not always a machine where you're going to dump it. So super handy whenever you can use a dump trailer, and particularly in an application like this. So I'm going to let you guys guess how much that silt fence weighs whenever we get it all done. It'll actually show it later in the video, and I'll let you guys know at the end how much it weighed. It was very surprising to me. So let me know what you guys think. Put your guess in the comments down below and see how close we are. I actually thought that it was going to be about 1,000 pounds. That was my guess. What's yours? So once we got down in here, this became one of the more tricky parts. Right there was a section where I'd actually pulled it up and Greg was able to reach it. It was a real pain, actually, uh, getting all that stuff up by hand. So what I ended up doing was tying a rope. I would actually cut the silt fence. A rope wouldn't stay on just the top above the silt fence with what little bit of stake was over. So I cut it and we pulled it up with a rope so Greg could grab a hold of it, and then off to the races. So that's me going down there, cutting it, tying the rope. He just pulls it and we get it right up out of the bottom. So it was a pretty neat, pretty decent idea. And then right here you can see there's a bunch of sticks left, or posts off of the silt fence. So what I'm doing is actually tying the rope to them, letting Greg pull them up out of the ground with the machine. And then one at a time was going slow, so I took all the extra slack out of the rope, and we'd hook up 4 or 5 at a time and pull them all out of the ground. So it went a little bit faster that way, and we got all those sticks out of the ground without having to break our backs doing it. And then after that, I just threw them up over the hill, and Greg rakes them up. He's just kind of dressing it and knocking it down as he goes. That way we don't end up with a big heaping mess there at the end. Now the majority of this Greg can actually reach without getting off the road. The 57 has quite a bit of reach, so he's reaching over the bank as far as he can get, and most of that he can on this first row. But once we get down to the second row, he's just a hair out of his reach. Not much, but just a little bit. So on that second row, we have to go back to the rope technique. So there I am tying the stakes off that second row. He was able to grab a portion of it, and then he just pulls them all out. We unhitch them right here, and then it's on to the next one. Say hey, Cody. Give me 5. Give me 5. Oh, he's a good girl. He's a good girl. What is happening, boys? Looky there. We got us a big old Mac Daddy load of silt fence, and the wind started blowing. There's Greg. He's on the handy dandy 57 again. We pulled silt fence out of all of there and around both sides of the driveway. Y'all seen all that over there. The camera died on time lapse, and I'm not really positive when it died, but I'm thinking that it was somewhere over in here. We did all this first, all down in here. There's silt fence all the way around there, and all the way down through there, and up in there, and out this way. And there's a couple jags out through there. But we got it all up. So, to recap, what you guys saw, the stuff with the red lines on it was C-pop. Got bigger stakes, and it's got a mesh behind it. So it's a much heavier duty silt fence. And there is a river that runs right through there, all the way down, and then a little old branch comes through here that built the driveway on top of. So that C-pop has to be installed in 2 rows, because we can't have any silt making it down there to the water. That's a big no-no. So that's what we got done, and they thought it was an eyesore. The ground has grass on it now, so it's stable. And what we really need to do is get a little bit of hay on top of this, and probably throw some grass seed, and just go ahead and get that going back. It's supposed to rain again, but there's not just a ton of silt left. What's on the ground is actually what the silt fence had caught during the lifespan. So it's been here for close to a year now, and it worked like a champ. So we'll see what we can come up with next. Alright, so a little bit earlier in the video I asked you guys to guess how much this silt fence weighed, and right there it was. So be able to take a good look at that, and the grand total came out to 2,400 440 pounds. So let me know if you guys got it anywhere close or not. And that was it. It surprised me. It cost like $57 a dump, which wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. So pretty good deal for getting all that weight and just dropping it off at the landfill. So this is the fun part where the builder decided that they were going to add some stuff in on us. So we actually just came over here to rip that silt fence out, but instead we ended up putting some driveway lights up. And what we did here was basically just dig a shallow trench all the way around, but you can see right there in front of the bucket there is a propane lid. So there's a gas line, there's a buried propane tank there, and that gas line runs over to the house. So we had to make sure we were shallow over it. And then the gutter drains come out right there as well. So we had to make sure that we went shallow enough to go over top of that. But we're actually burying 10-3 UF wire here, and we ended up putting 500 feet in. Now, these little sideways jags right here are because the builder decided that he wants to add a retaining wall right here. And so he wants 2 lights on the side of that retaining wall, and then we'll end up backfilling it, and they'll pour a slab across the top of it that'll run flush with that hot tub so that they can back in and put their vehicles right there for a turnaround spot or a parking spot, whatever you might have. It's a relatively tight space, not too bad, but it'll be handy for them to have the extra parking space, which is what they want, and that's what the builder wanted, so that's what we did. Also notice that we dug down either side and then across the driveway last. And the reason for digging across the driveway last is so that we could go in and out. There are other people who are working at this house trying to punch it out, and the builder actually left and was supposed to be coming back. So we wanted to leave that road closed for as little a time as possible. So we got all of that dug out, and we just wanted to cover it back up with a 3-foot bucket. We rolled our wire out in there and pulled up some tag ends so that they'll have them out there to hook up their driveway lights. We're not electricians, we don't hook anything up, we're just burying the wire. So we swapped over to the 3-foot bucket. It's just so much easier to cover it up with that surface area, and this is really an aggravating task whenever you have to dress stuff up with the track hoe. But we got up here and we started up on this upper section of the driveway for the main reason of people going in and out and wanting to turn around and all that good stuff. So we wanted to get everything dressed up there. The road's already passable. We fixed that before we went up. And then they could come up here, turn around, park, and all that good stuff, and then we would be out of their way. Because at the moment, while we were there, we had plenty of room and were able to actually work in that area of the driveway, which was not the case the entire time we were there. These wires here are actually an incredibly large pain in the rear. You have to be super careful dressing around them. If the teeth on the track hoe grab a hold of it, it'll yank it right out of the ground. They're just not the kind of thing that you want to go quickly around. So it looks pretty fast on the time lapse, but this entire process probably took us an additional 2.5 hours. So about the same amount of time to dig that in as it took us to go the entire silt fence pulling out. So right there we got it laid in. Had to do a little bit of hand digging underneath there, and this right here is going to be buried super shallow, just enough so that they don't tear it up backing over it. And there's actually a long tag in on the outside of that that'll come straight up next to their form wall whenever they backfill it. So that's all handy dandy, and we've almost got it wrapped up. But guess what? There's more. On the way out, the builder asked us to go and redo a couple more spots on the road. There was actually some pre-existing asphalt here before we ever got here. Someone had made a pig trail of a road to get back in here, and it had grown up over who knows how many years. So all of that actually had to be bush hogged before they ever started building the road to get in here for the house place. That being said, it washes at the bottom of the asphalt every time. So we go down through here, and Greg gets that all dressed up, and we work our way out. And that's the end of our day. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. If you guys have any pointers on what we were doing, feel free to drop a comment below. Thanks for watching.